Hello stamping friends, it's Angie here with Too Cool Stamping, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. I'm here with our weekly live class, and this week I have a fantastic class for you featuring the Timeless Tropical Suite. I love this suite. I think it's kind of a fun time of year to be talking about it. I bet a lot of us are missing some vacations that were supposed to be happening during spring break or coming up this summer, and we're a little sad about it, but at least we can have the feel of the tropics and do some creativity in our own homes right now. Before we get started with our projects today, I wanted to just remind you that the retired list has been released. There are several things already sold out, so if you haven't checked it out, make sure that you do. And the cool part this year, there's actually a lot of discounted items, and I mean big discounts. In the past, we have seen some discounts that were lower than this, but this is like 30, 40, 50, even up to 60% off for some products. And they're really awesome products too. There are a lot of consumable things like designer series paper from the annual catalog, embellishments, ribbons, a lot of dies are being retired, and also are discounted. So be sure you check that retired list out. A lot of people are taking advantage of all of the great deals going on right now, and you definitely need to check it out. Like I said, there's already a lot of things sold out. Not a lot, I shouldn't say a lot. There's a handful of things that are sold out, but definitely some of the more popular things. You'll want to check out the in-color items. Those are usually some of the first to go. And we have sold out of at least one of the refills, and some ribbon, I think. But I think we're still good on 4 of the refills there. Also, I totally lost my train of thought. I was going to say something. Oh, there's a few disclaimers that I wanted to make sure that you are aware of. I've talked about them already, but they all bear repeating. Number 1, snail adhesive is being retired, but there will be another adhesive, actually 2 new adhesive options coming up in our new catalog that you're gonna love. I mean, you're gonna love. So I'm really excited about that. Don't freak out that we don't have snail. You might want to stock up if you want to, but you're gonna want this new adhesive, I'm pretty sure. Also, Stampin' Blends markers. We've had a lot of questions about that. They are not really being retired, they're being reconfigured as far as packaging. So they're no longer going to be sold as individual markers, and so they're getting rid of the individual marker supply basically, and they have some combo packs that they're retiring as well, but those were just individual markers that they would pull each of the markers and put them together. They're actually going to put together a package now, so there'll be a duo of the light and dark markers. So don't worry, we are going to still have Stampin' Blends markers. I'm going to use some on our projects today. They're one of my favorite ways to color my images, so thank goodness they're not going anywhere. There's also some dies that are being discontinued that aren't necessarily going away for good. When Stampin' Up! Pulled out of the Big Shot and Sizzix dies, they started reconfiguring several of those dies with their new manufacturer in their new style, and you'll see some of those dies being kind of switched out. So dies like layering circles, layering ovals, stitch shapes framelits, stitched rectangles, some of the basic ones that you love, those are not really going away. They're just on the retired list because they're turning into Stampin' Up! Dies rather than Sizzix dies. So those are a few things I want to make sure everyone is aware of as you're looking at that retired list. A lot of people are like, oh my gosh, what's happening? So no, it's all good. Okay, so today we are going to talk about Timeless Tropical and this beautiful suite. I just absolutely love it. And I'm going to flip the camera around and show you the bundle that's in the suite and the papers, and then we'll get started with our class projects. And don't forget, today we do have a class kit available. When I turn the camera around, I'll give you the host code. It's a new host code for the week, and it will be to earn a free class kit. You'll get 6 cards, and as I make the projects today, I'll show you which cards are included in the kit, and you can earn that kit for free just for placing a $35 or more order with us this week. And you'll need to do that by May 5th. So that's next Tuesday, and then all of those kits will ship out by the following Saturday. All right, and while I'm here, I want to thank you so much. I had the biggest class kit order week ever, and you guys were just really, really liking the best dressed kit last week, and I appreciate all the orders. I know you're gonna have fun with this kit, and it's a really, really pretty kit. If you didn't get a chance to get it, it's too late for that kit right now, but you can have a chance to get this one today, and I think it's also a very lovely kit. Hopefully you'll think so too. Okay, we're gonna flip the camera around, so hold on. Might wanna close your eyes if you want to. Sorry, I got a couple nice pictures of my hand here as I'm getting, there we go, sorry about that. Like to get the camera nice and sturdy for us. All right, so here is the paper that goes along with the Timeless Tropical Suite. And I absolutely love this paper. Beautiful florals, palm leaves, pineapples, just really, really pretty on the one side. And then the other side has a bunch of kind of more subdued patterns that coordinate really, really well. So that's the Tropical Oasis paper. And then we have the Timeless Tropical Bundle, and that comes with the cling stamp set with some beautiful tropical flower images, palm trees, and I really love the sentiments. They're pretty and they're really versatile too. Then we have the In the Tropics dies, some really unique shapes here. We have the pineapple shape. I love that. We're going to create a card with that. And then all of the cutouts for the flowers and the leaves, and then some additional little leaves that you can use to make little collages. And also aloha. We're not using that today, but that's a really cute saying that you can have a little die cut for that too. So this is the Timeless Tropical Bundle. Also in the suite that we're going to be using is the Coastal Weave embossing folder. I love this embossing folder, so pretty. And we also have some braided trim is in the suite as well. Burlap braided trim. So we'll be using that on a couple projects as well. So we're gonna have several different projects that I'm gonna show you. Again, we have a class kit available, 6 cards, and if you want to order that, all you need to do is place an order for anything that you like at my online store. You can find that by going to toocoolstamping.com. Click on the Shop Now link, and you'll be right at my online store. Be sure to use the host code, that's really important, BQPK4TGR, and that will get you this week's live kit. As a reminder, if by chance you order more than $150 or $150 or more, don't use the host code. I want you to be able to earn the Stampin' Rewards that you get when you hit that level, and I will just automatically send you a class kit. All right, everybody, let's get started with our new projects for this week. Our first project, we're going to start with some pretty peacock cardstock, and I'm not going to give you all the measurements. You're going to find those on the Facebook post later, also on the YouTube description, and I'll have it on my blog as well. So this is pretty peacock. It's just a traditional size 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. That's what all of our card bases are generally, unless we're getting a little fancy. So I'm just gonna fold that in half. Now this first card, if you came to my kickoff party back in January, this is one of the cards that we did, and I loved it so much I had to include it in this kit because I wanted everyone to have a chance to put it together. The second piece here, also pretty peacock, and it's 4 by 5 1/4, and it's already embossed with that coastal weave texture. Hopefully the camera picks that up because it's really, really pretty. I'm going to put that on with some snail adhesive. Because of the texture, you might want to use something a little more secure like tear and tape, or maybe even some multi-purpose glue. So that just goes on as a nice, really pretty textured background. Next, we're going to add just a little piece here of the Designer Series paper, Tropical Oasis. We're going to try to use a lot of that paper today because I absolutely love it. And it is retiring, as most of the designer series papers do at the end of the catalog. All right, next we're going to use some of that burlap trim, the braided burlap, and we will use some tear and tape for this to make it stick down. Here we go. Just going to add one little strip here to the middle of our card. And I might trim that before I even put that down. And also I want to just fray the ends a little bit. I love that you can use this straight, or you can fray the edges a little bit with all that pretty braid. You can even pull them apart and use the each of the threads individually, kind of like a linen thread. So I'm just gonna fray the edges. I like that look. I think it looks, I don't know, looks tropical-y to me. All right, so we'll lay that across there. Really pretty. Now let's work on the focal point. And for that, we're gonna stamp with the palm trees from the Timeless Tropical. And we're gonna color those in with some Stampin' Write markers. So we want the two-tone look. We're gonna have a soft suede trunk and old olive for the palm leaves. So to do that, we have our Stampin' Write marker, and you definitely wanna use Stampin' Write markers, not Stampin' Blends markers. The difference is this is a water-based, and this is gonna be able to go right onto the rubber of the photopolymer stamp, and then you huff on it to kind of moisten it again, and then stamp with it. If you were to use the blends, that's an alcohol-based, and it's almost like a Sharpie. So it's not meant to transfer, it's actually gonna stick to the rubber more than just be able to transfer. So I'm just using the edge of my brush tip, kind of like a paintbrush, and we're coloring in those trunks, and then we'll color in the leaves as well. I love, this is a really easy way to get two colors in your stamp. And like I mentioned, it works just as well with the rubber as the photopolymer. All right, so we have that colored in. Put a little bit of your breath on it, kind of re-wets the ink down, and then we'll stamp right on our Whisper White cardstock. All right, and you can see how beautiful that made the two color image. Then we're gonna add that to a layer of soft suede cardstock. Again, look for the measurements in my description later today. And we're gonna pop that up with some dimensionals onto our card front. And I'm careful not to put any dimensionals where that burlap is, because I don't want it to be kind of bulky there and too thick there. All right, we'll add that to the top here, and then we'll finish up with a sentiment. I already have a stitch shape oval die cut out of mint macaron, and I'm going to stamp that with one of the sentiments from our tropical Timeless Tropical stamp set, and it's stamped in soft suede. Okay, then we're going to add that again with a few dimensionals, and we're just going to put it right over the side here. So a little bit of the corner of it's going to go kind of layer on top of our focal point, and then we'll add a couple of dimensionals below. All right, it's going to go about right here. And then, of course, we need a little bit of bling, a little bit of sparkle. I still have my Noble Peacock Rhinestones. I'm so sad these are being retired, so if you love this color combination here, which I totally do, I would get some now. I don't think they're sold out yet. I could be wrong. Everything changes minute by minute. So put a couple of those on there. And there is our first card. I love all of the colors. Teal is one of my favorite colors. I also love purple too, but I love teals and blues. And then our Too Cool version, and I've shown this before too, but this is one that's in soft seafoam. I have that same coastal weave background. I use a different pattern of the designer series paper, same palm trees, and this time I just put the sentiment over the top. I thought that was really cute. The burlap's right underneath, gives it a little bit of texture, and then also some Noble Peacock rhinestones in Old Olive this time. So there's our first pair of cards, and this is the card that you're going to receive in your kit. Okay, and I'll show you all the cards together from your kit later on. All right, next, our second project that we're working on today, we're going to start with a thick Whisper White card base, just the traditional card base. That nice and lined up. And I've already cut out some pool party cardstock. I believe it's 5 by 3 1/4. And I've die cut with the layering ovals a little window out of that. And like I mentioned earlier, that if you see the layering ovals on the retired list, don't freak out. They're really still going to be around. They're a basic shape. They're just being converted to the Stampin' Up! Dies. I think they are on back order right now for a couple of weeks though. Anyway, so here is, it's already die cut, and then I ran it through the coastal weave, so it's going to have a really pretty background here. And we're just going to set this aside for now. Now we're going to work on some focal point images, and I'm just going to use a piece of Whisper White here, and we're going to stamp this beautiful timeless tropical flower. I absolutely adore this large flower. The thing I really love about the stamp set is it's great for coloring, and you can use a lot of different mediums. We're going to use Stampin' Blends today, but you can use aqua painters, which happen to be also being reconfigured, new packaging, and I think that the old style is sold out, so you'll have to wait until the new catalog for that. And, oh, and then we have a leaf here. So I'm stamping in soft suede, just on a piece of Whisper White cardstock. Anyway, so you can use aqua painters, you can use blender pens. There's just lots of ways to color. All right, today we're going to be using some Stampin' Blends, and I'm going to start with, let's start with the leaves. And today, a lot of times I'll use the light and dark of the same color to make shading. Today I decided to branch out, and I was trying to get kind of a different tone of green. So I'm starting with the light Granny Apple green for our leaves. And I'm just using the brush tip end and just kind of use it like a paintbrush really lightly so that you don't smash that nib down. You don't want to do that. So just some light Granny Apple green, and then I'm going to use some light Old Olive. And I'm just going to put that kind of near all of the veining in the leaves, just to add a little bit of olivey color with the brown that's already there in the soft suede. Just gives it a little extra dimension. All right, so then my flower, I'm going to start with, this is light pumpkin pie actually. Again, I'm just going to use that brush tip end. I'm really liking the light pumpkin pie. It's kind of a peachy color. I'm not really big into orange, but I do like peach, and this is a nice, it's a little bit darker than a petal pink, but it has a nice light hue to it. All right, So we'll fill all this in. I love using the brush tip because that's gonna fill the color in really quickly. And then like the leaves, rather than add pumpkin pie dark, I'm gonna have to get one of those pumpkin pie light markers that's on the list, on the retired list, individual, because that one's starting to get a little bit dry. But like the leaves, I'm gonna use some different colors. So I'm gonna use, let's see, how about light flirty, let's start with, what is this? Dark flirty flamingo. So we're gonna do a little bit of the shading on the inside here. I'm just gonna kind of feather out the dark flirty flamingo from the middle. I don't know if you can see that very well, but kind of gives it a two-tone look. And there's some little shading here. I'm just gonna kind of go over those areas as well. And then we'll use the light flirty flamingo, the bullet tip end, the fine tip end. You can see how the two colors come together, and it's kind of a harsh line there. I'm just gonna go over that with the light end and kind of blend that out so it's not quite as harsh. And you're still gonna have a little bit of a line because flirty flamingo isn't gonna go into the light pumpkin pie perfectly when it blends together, but it does kind of blend out and fades out. It gives it kind of a watercolory look. So you can see hopefully what that looks like. So then we are gonna cut those out with our large flower die here and also our leaf die, and I've already done that. And just so that you are aware, Stampin' Up! Is having a die cutting machine coming out very soon. I'm very excited about it. We're gonna put some Wink of Stella on our flower. The die cutting machine is going to be, you'll see it in the new catalog. It's not available right away with the release of the new catalog, but we're told that it should be released shortly after. They didn't give us a real good time frame, but shortly after the catalog is released, hopefully we'll be getting that new Stampin' Up! Die cutting machine. And I had a sneak peek and it looks really awesome. I haven't been able to use it yet, but it looks like it's gonna be a winner. So I think you're gonna love that. Okay, so now let's see how this is gonna start going together. I'm gonna put a leaf down here, one up here, and then I'm gonna have a sentiment up here. Let's see. I'm gonna put thank you, our thank you sentiment, and I'll do that in, again, soft suede. Now everything here is not adhered at all. It's just to give some positioning. So I'm gonna add that thank you. And now we can actually start adding these pieces. So I'll take that off. We're gonna flip it upside down. I'm gonna raise this layer. You wouldn't have to, but I kind of wanted the window to have kind of a recessed look. So I'm gonna put a lot of dimensionals on here. You don't wanna have it sag too much. So, and this is kind of a place where if you wanted to, do you ever use the edges? You can just use your paper trim or paper snips and just cut the edges here and use those pieces. Don't throw those away. A lot of people throw them away. You can use those. So since we're using so many dimensionals here and I want to make sure that I fill in all of the gaps, yeah, use those edges. That's perfect for that. All right. So pardon me as I take a little time to get all of the backing papers off here. How are you guys doing with most people are staying at home, I'm sure. What are you guys doing? Let me know in the comments. Are you doing stamping? Are you doing some other activities? Are you able to get outside? We've kind of had some dreary days here in Indiana, so we have a few nice days and then a bunch of dreary. Okay, I'm gonna add that right over the top there. I love that look. Gives you a little bit of a recessed look. Okay, now we can add our flowers back in here. And let's see. I actually have a couple of pieces here of the braided trim. I'm gonna feather out, or fray I should say, it's probably a better way. And I'm gonna put it on the back of this flower, kind of over here. And I'm gonna add it with some tear and tape. So let me see what that looks like. I'm just gonna put that tear and tape right over the top. Couple pieces. All right, and then we'll put a couple dimensionals here too. All right, we're gonna be ready for that. Also, I want to add these leaves. I'm just gonna use one strip of tear and tape. Down these leaves to make sure that since it's on a texture and it's also partially gonna be off of this recessed edge, I wanna make sure it's nice and secure there. So I'll get all of the tapes off. We're gonna have the flower right here, and then we'll make this leaf go right here. So you have to kind of do a lot of positioning, laying it out as you put it down. And then this one will go, let's go right here. And then we'll take all of the adhesive off of this flower. If I can get it off, there we go. And then we'll add that right to the corner here. There we go. I love that contrast between the pool party and the softer peach colors and flirty flamingo colors. We're gonna finish up with a rhinestone jewel. These are still on back order. Gosh darn it, everybody loves them. As soon as they come in, they go on back order again. We're gonna add one jewel just to give it a little sparkle. It kind of offsets the wink of Stella. I don't know if the wink of Stella shows up on the camera, but it's really nice and shiny here, so it kind of has a balance there with a little bit of sparkle. So this is our second card. And this is our Too Cool version. I did it in the petal pink, also with the coastal weave. This time, instead of the braided burlap, we just used the braided trim. I also frayed the edges there. I did my flower in Pool Party, and I had 3 leaves this time, another sentiment from the Timeless Tropical, and then a Pool Party rhinestone from the Holiday Rhinestones. So I love that version as well. And we use the circles this time instead of the layering ovals, it's the layering circles. So this is the card that we're going to be receiving with the card kit. And I think I told you the wrong thing, but with the previous cards, we're actually doing both of these cards. So you'll make both of these cards. I really liked how both of them turned out, so we're doing both of those. Anyway, okay. Third project. So for this one, we're starting out with Poppy Parade. And I started with this, and then I realized when I went to look at the what colors are actually in the suite. If you look at your mini catalog, if you ever want to know what colors are in the suite, it always has a nice list of all of the colors. So when I looked, I thought it was Poppy Parade. It's actually real red. So I didn't use the correct color, but the nice thing is the paper that we're using really matches that really well. So I started with a vertical half sheet of cardstock, and this time I scored it a little differently. I have it at the 3 1/4 and also the 8 3/4, I believe. Again, look at my blog post and my the details, the description of this Facebook post as well. Okay, so when you're doing this gatefold, instead of just going pushing one down and folding it and using your bone folder on one side and then the other, sometimes they don't meet up perfectly in the middle. They overlap or there's a gap. So what you want to do is put those together so that they're nice and flush. Then use your bone folder. That's a really helpful tip. Otherwise, they're not going to line up perfectly. So just hold that down. See how there's a lot of bubble here? We'll just push that out and make that a nice flat edge. So line them up first. That's going to help you out a whole lot. All right, now we're going to use some of that pretty paper. I love that paper. This is just a 3x4. I know that. And that's going to be on one side, and the other side is a 2x4. So simple to make this cute little gatefold. You could use a different coordinating pattern there as well if you wanted to kind of mix it up. And then we're going to do a focal point for that. We're going to start with this piece of Whisper White. We're going to use this leaf, and I do need to clean it a little bit, so let me get that nice and clean. I forgot to bring my Simply Chamois over here. I love using that. That's my favorite. Okay. So we're going to use Granny Apple Green for our leaf color this time, but I want it to be really light. So we're going to stamp off once, and then just add a few, whoops, stamp off once. Let's try again. Second chance on the back. That's my favorite. Stamp off. And then stamp off again down here. So here's our background. Then next we're gonna do the smaller flower, and this time we're gonna stamp that in Poppy Parade to match that cardstock. Now my Poppy Parade ink pad kind of needed some ink, but I didn't re-ink it because I kind of liked that it was a little bit lighter. And what I want to do is I'm trying to kind of mimic the look of these flowers here. So they're white, they have a little bit of a red or Poppy Parade center, a little bit of yellow, and if you look closely, there's a little hint of Pool Party. So we already have the red center. We're gonna add some Mango Melody. This is light, Mango Melody Light. And just like the other one, we're just gonna feather out that color from the middle with the brush tip end. So really quickly, not a lot of blending or anything. And then we're gonna use the light Pool Party and just give a little hint of color right on the tip. And that's all we're doing. Then we're gonna use those die cuts again. We have a small flower die cut. And we'll cut those out. Ta-da! I did that so quickly. And that will be over here. Let's put a sentiment on there. This time we're gonna use Shaded Spruce to match the leaves in the paper. And we're gonna use the Rest and Relax, You Deserve It. I'll put that right here. Okay, now we can layer that on some Shaded Spruce cardstock. Okay, and that's gonna go on our card right here. Before I put our flowers on, I'm just gonna flip this over. I only want to have the adhesive on this side, so I'm just going to flip it over and do a 180 of where I want to place that, so I know exactly where to put that tear and tape. And I do like to use tear and tape here just for extra hold, since it's going to be hanging off the edge a little bit of that front card front. Okay, and then we'll line that up again, add it to our card front. Shoo, I didn't get any on there. I hate it when I put it on there and I tape the card closed. Have you ever done that? Probably not, that's probably just me. Put a couple of dimensionals on these flowers. Lots of dimensionals today. When in doubt, pop it up. That's my philosophy. Now I'm gonna just add this right about here. And then somewhere around here, here we go. I have a few little dies here, little die cuts, and these are in Poppy Parade, and that comes from this little trio of flowers. It's all one die, but it actually, I had to cut a couple of them. There's like 3 different sizes here, and I did it a couple of times so I could have 2 of the little ones. So I'm just going to use just a dab of snail. You could use a glue dot if you wanted to. And this is going to really make the centers of those flowers pop. And then we'll put one of these larger ones over here in the corner. And we'll finish up, since I mentioned that real red was actually part of this color combination, I'm going to add some red rhinestones. These are actually meant to match Mary Merlot, but shh, they're versatile. We're not going to tell anybody. This is from the Holiday Rhinestone Pack. I don't know for sure. I need to find out whether these are retiring. I can't remember whether they're in the new catalog or not when I've had a peek. If you want a peek of the catalog, you need to get a starter kit and join my team. We actually get to order next week, so that's just a little tip if you want to get a little sneak peek. Okay, so here is our gatefold card. I actually finished up, here's my sample one that I did earlier, and I did another little flower on the inside, so you can use some of those extra die cuts. And that is my little offset gatefold. We did another version, of course, a Too Cool version. This time it's in a vertical orientation. I used Coastal Cabana for the background, the card base, and a different color, a different pattern of the Tropical Oasis Designer Series paper. Same leaves, same flowers, a different sentiment up here, and this time I used the Mango Melody. So I love that, just a little bit offset. I'll have all the dimensions in the description later today. So both of these cards are going to be included in your card kit. I love that you'll have a chance to play with a couple of the most beautiful papers in that Tropical Oasis pack. All right, one more card. And this one, there's just something about pineapples, and they're all about welcoming and friendship. And so I needed to try out that die cut from the In the Tropics dies. So this is a soft suede piece of cardstock. I think I didn't cut it down. I didn't. I had oh, I hate that. So I'm gonna have to cut that down later. We're gonna pretend like that's not there. I could probably just cut it down real quick. Let's see if I can eyeball it. Ready? On the fly. We can do it. Are you holding your breath? Because I am. Oh. Okay. I hate that when I cut the wrong size. I must have cut something that was 5 1/4 and then thought I had a half sheet there. But anyway, you're gonna have our traditional card base that's 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 1 1/4. And again, that was a soft suede. I'm gonna use this piece of paper from the Tropical Oasis. It's kind of pretty on the back, but I love this soft pineapple background. And that'll go perfectly with our focal point. Are you guys laughing at my mistakes? Sometimes there are crafting errors, but you just make do. Okay, next, I have a little background here. This is actually, you can see the stitching along the side here. It's a stitched rectangle die cut that I've run through that coastal weave. Oops, I'm out of snail. Get my next one over here. Okay, we're gonna add that over the top. Then I used, well, let me put this one little piece here. I have a 4 1/4 by 1 1/2 piece of crumb cake. And I'm gonna put that right across the bottom. So there's the foundation. Then I'm gonna use my In the Tropics dies again. We're gonna use this really cool pineapple 2-part die. I have the bottom part of the pineapple is in So Saffron. And I found that you can, for some reason my die wasn't cutting very well, but I almost liked it because if you have it cut really well, then you can have all the little pieces pop out and you can pop it up like we're gonna be doing today. And actually I did this completely backwards before this sticks too much. It's a good thing I didn't use tear and tape. I don't want this crumb cake to be showing through the pineapple now that I think about it. Interrupted myself there. Another mistake. All right, now it's looking more like the card I wanted it to look like. Okay, so we have all these holes and then you can pop it up on here and you can get kind of a raised texture. Or if you just lightly run it through the die, those little pieces stay in there and it's just more of a texture instead of having the holes in it. So anyway, something to look at when you get that, when you have that die and you're working with it. So to pop this up, I want to have it popped up kind of like that texture, the oval texture in the background that had the window popped up. So I'm actually going to cut, these are the mini dimensionals. So I've cut those in half first. That way I can just take these little tiny bits. You could also, again, use the border around your dimensionals if you just cut them into smaller pieces. So I'm just going to put a few of those on there. And you might want to put a few more, but I'm going to just go with that. Make sure they're stuck down really well because when you go to peel the paper off, they're so small, sometimes they come off too. Okay, so here is our bottom pineapple, and then we're going to have our die cut that I did with Old Olive, and this one is kind of cool because it just has a few of these little leaves that you can bend up and make a little more of a raised texture. So I love that. Gives you a little more dimension. And we'll use some snail on the back. Now remember, when you're using snail, you might even want to use like a multi-purpose glue, but you don't want to put any snail behind these parts that you want to pop up. Otherwise they're going to stick down and they won't give you that dimension. So we'll add that to the top, and then we have one little piece left. We're going to make a little sentiment across the front using our soft suede. This sentiment says, "Our friendship is timeless." I love that. That's such a nice, thoughtful greeting. I'm gonna banner cut the edges. So you go up the middle and then corner to middle using those paper snips. Those paper snips are super sharp right to the tip. So they're great for this detailed cutting like this. All right, and that will go right across there. So I'm just gonna have a little bit of snail. I'm gonna finish up with a little bit of linen thread. Again, if you wanted to use that burlap, you could pull this apart and just pull the actual threads out of this, and you could have a lot of linen type of thread. See how that just comes out? And you could obviously have a longer piece, but you can use it that way as well. I actually had a lot of linen thread left over. So I'm gonna double it up and then make a little bow out of it. I like making a double bow. Kind of gives it a little bit extra texture. We'll trim that off. And then we'll use a glue dot to hold that in place. So we're just gonna stick that right on the glue dot. And then kind of pinch it together so that the glue dot goes underneath that bow, the knot in the bow. And then we'll add that to the top of the pineapple. Just gives it a little something something there. So that is our pretty pineapple card. And then, of course, I have a Too Cool version. This time, I use the same card base. I flipped that same paper pattern over to use the back side, a little more vibrant and colorful and tropical. The background is in soft suede also, a poppy parade, pop of color. Same colors for the pineapple. I used a different sentiment. The hello sentiment also comes in that timeless tropical. And then I used the ornate frames dies. Since that was so small, I wanted to make it just a little tiny stitched shape that comes from the ornate frames dies. So those are the two cool cards in that one. Let's show you all of the cards that we're gonna have in our class. Get some of my live ink out here, my wide open ink, so I don't ruin anything. Get that out. All right, so we're gonna have our pineapple, just the yellow one. Oh, I wanted to show you the inside. There's a little pineapple stamp, and you can do that same two-tone coloring with the marker on the top and the soft suede, the old olive on the top, the soft suede on the bottom, and then I just kind of dabbed in some Daffodil Delight or crushed curry, whatever color to give it a little yellow there. So I like that for the inside too. I had to show you that. Really cute. Okay, so we're gonna have these. Get some of my little pieces off of here. Clean off my desk. And then also these and this one. So here are all of our class cards, 6 different cards, and you can earn that class kit between now and May 5th. Just go to my website, toocoolstamping.com, click on the Shop Now link, and you can place your order to qualify. It needs to be at least a $35 order, and use that host code, that's important, BQPK4TGR, and that will let me know that you want that class kit. Again, if you have an order of $150 or more, don't use the host code. I want you to be able to enjoy the Stampin' Rewards, and you need to not use the host code in order to receive those rewards at that $150 level. I'll automatically send you a kit if that is the case. All right, so these are our Timeless Tropic Suite. Again, if you want to get the stamp set, Timeless Tropical, I should say, not Tropic. Timeless Tropical stamp set in the Tropics dies. You can get it as a bundle. You can get it separately. You can also get it as a whole entire suite of products. The Coastal Weave, you can get that too. Everything is going to be die cut and pre-cut and embossed and everything for your kit, so you don't necessarily need the coastal weave, but you do need your inks and your stamp set and any adhesives that you might want, and also Stampin' Blends for coloring the flowers. So that's a really fun thing to do. And Wink of Stella. If you don't have Wink of Stella, that's a must-have for any stamp room, for a little bit of shimmer on everything. All right, everybody, I hope you've enjoyed our class today. I've had a lot of fun stamping with you. I look forward to doing it with you again next week on Thursday at 9 a.m. right here at Too Cool Stamping on our Facebook page. You'll also find all of my videos on YouTube, and if you could, I'd love for you to subscribe, and that way you won't miss a video. Thanks so much for joining me this week, and I will see you soon. This is Angie with Too Cool Stamping. Bye-bye.